Hello everyone, my name is Matthew and this is Learn the Lingo. Welcome back to Hebrew Basics, a series where we learn the essentials of Hebrew grammar. Today we're going to be doing a review of lessons 5 through 7 of this series. In lessons 5 and 6 we learned some very important words called subject pronouns. In English we know these words as I, you, he, she, we, and they. The Hebrew word for I is ani, and the Hebrew word for we is anachnu. These words do not change whether the I or we is male or female. So to say I am a man, we have the word ani, I, and gever, man. In Hebrew there is no word for a, and there's also no word for am, and so that's all we have. Ani, gever, I am a man. And you can also use ani to say I am a woman. Ani, isha. We can use anachnu to say we are men or we are women. Anachnu gavarim and anachnu nashim. So ani and anachnu do not change depending on the gender of the subject. However, the Hebrew words for you do change depending on the gender and also the number of the subject. If the you is masculine singular, one man, the Hebrew word will be ata. If it's feminine singular, you will be at. If it's masculine plural, it will be atem. And if it's feminine plural, you will be aten. So to say you are a man, we have gever once again, which is a masculine singular noun. And so the Hebrew word for you must also be masculine singular. And so that will be ata. Ata gever. You are a man. And if we wanted to say you are a woman, we would need the feminine singular form of you. At. At isha. You are a woman. If we wanted to say you are men, the Hebrew word for you must agree in gender and number with the Hebrew word gavarim, men, a masculine plural noun. The masculine plural form of you is atem, and so we have atem gavarim. You are men. And if we wanted to say you are women, we would use the feminine plural form of you, aten, to say aten nashim. You are women. Aten nashim. Since there are 4 forms of the word you in Hebrew, there are 4 ways to say the sentence, you are good. In Hebrew, we don't need a word for are, and the Hebrew word for good is tov. But remember that tov is just the default masculine singular form of the adjective good. To make the other forms, we'll have to add endings onto it. To make the feminine singular form, we will add an a ending to get tova. To make the masculine plural form, we'll add an im ending to get tovim, and to make the feminine plural form, we'll add an ot ending to get tovot. Tov, tova, tovim, tovot. So, now that we have these 4 forms of both the word you and the adjective good, let's try saying you are good in all 4 forms. How would you say you are good to a man? Pause the video if you need to think. Ready? All right. A man is a masculine singular subject, and so we'll need to use the masculine singular forms of both words to say you are good. Ata tov. Ata tov. You are good, speaking to a man. Now, how would you tell a woman you are good? Since a woman is a feminine singular subject, we'll need to use the feminine singular forms of both words. At tova. At tova. You are good. Now say you are good to a group of men. A group of men is a masculine plural group, and so we'll use the masculine plural forms of both words. Atem tovim. You are good. Atem tovim. Now finally say you are good to a group of women. A group of women is a feminine plural subject, and so we'll use the feminine plural words aten and tovot. Aten tovot. You are good. Aten tovot. If we're talking to a group of both men and women, we use the masculine plural form. So we could say atem tovim to a group of all men, or a group that has both men and women. So those are the 4 Hebrew words for you. Moving on, the Hebrew word for he is hu, and the Hebrew word for she is he. There are 2 Hebrew words for they in Hebrew. One refers to either a group of all men or a mixed group of both men and women, and one refers to a group of all women. The masculine form of they is haim, and the feminine form is hain. Let's use these pronouns with the adjective zakain, old, to say he is old, she is old, and the two ways to say they are old in Hebrew. Again, zakain is just the default masculine singular form of the adjective old, and so to say she is old and they are old, we are going to have to put this adjective into its other forms. The feminine singular form of zakain is zakaina, the masculine plural form is zakainim, and the feminine plural form is zakainot. Let's use these four forms of the adjective zakain, old, and the pronouns who, he, him, and hain to say he is old, she is old, and they are old in Hebrew. Let's start with he is old. How do we say that in Hebrew? Alright, we have he, which in Hebrew is hu, which is a masculine singular subject, and so the Hebrew word for old must also be in masculine singular form. So that will be zakain. Hu zakain. He is old. Hu zakain. Now try she is old. She in Hebrew is he, a feminine singular subject, and so the Hebrew word for old must also be in feminine singular form. So we'll use zakaina. He zakaina. She is old. He zakaina. And now say they are old, speaking of a group of all females. Since this is a feminine plural group, we'll use they in feminine form, hain, and the feminine plural form of old, zakainot. Hain zakainot. They are old. Hain zakainot. And finally say they are old, speaking of either a group of all men or a mixed group of both men and women. For this, we'll use the word haim and the masculine plural form of old, zakainim. Haim zakainim. They are old. Haim zakainim. In Hebrew, there is no present tense of the verb to be, am, are, or is. However, the pronouns who, he, haim, and hain can act as the words is and are. Using these words as is or are is especially helpful when we have a sentence that has a structure of nouns or adjective. For example, children are fast. The Hebrew word for children is yeladim, and the masculine plural form of the word mahir, fast, is mahirim, to agree with the masculine plural yeladim. However, we can't just say yeladim mahirim because that means fast children. And so in Hebrew, we need a word that means are. Since yeladim is a masculine plural noun, we will use the masculine plural pronoun haim to mean are. Yeladim haim mahirim. Children are fast. Yeladim haim mahirim. Finally, in Lesson 7, we learned another kind of pronoun called demonstrative pronouns. In English, these words are this, that, these, and those. Hebrew has two words for this. The masculine form of this is ze, and the feminine form is zot. Try to say, this is a nut, and this is a cake in Hebrew. The Hebrew word for nut is egos, which is a masculine singular noun, and the Hebrew word for cake is uga, a feminine singular noun. Alright, to say this is a nut, we have the word egos, which is a masculine singular noun, and so we will need the masculine form of this, ze. Ze egos. This is a nut. And to say this is a cake, we have the feminine singular word uga, cake, and so we'll use the feminine form of this, zot. Zot uga. This is a cake. Zot uga. The Hebrew word for these can be used with both masculine and feminine nouns. This word is ele. We can say ele gabarim, these are men, or ele nashim, these are women. Ele does not change depending on the gender of what it is describing. The words ze, zot, and ele can not only be used as pronouns, but also as adjectives. The same goes for the English words this and these. For example, in the sentence, this is a policewoman, this is a pronoun, but in the phrase, this policewoman, this is an adjective describing the policewoman. To say this policewoman in Hebrew, first we have the noun, shoteret, policewoman, and then we have the adjective zot, this. We could just leave it at that, shoteret zot, to mean this policewoman. But usually we add a ha, meaning the, onto both the noun and the adjective when we use this as an adjective. So we have ha shoteret hazot. Ha shoteret hazot is the way we usually would translate this policewoman into Hebrew. We can do the same thing with ze and ele. To say this person, we have the word adam, person, which is a masculine singular noun, and we'll have the word ze, this in masculine form, to agree with that masculine noun. We put the noun first, adam, and then the adjective ze, this. Then we add a ha, meaning the, onto both words. Ha-adam hazeh. Ha-adam hazeh means this person. Now you use a structure to say these teachers in Hebrew. Teachers is morim. Alright, in Hebrew the first thing we need is the noun, morim, teachers, and then the adjective ele, these. Onto both of these words we are going to add a ha, meaning the. Ha-morim ha-ele, these teachers. Ha-morim ha-ele. As for how to say that and those, in Hebrew there is not that much distinction between something near with this and these, and something far with that and those. So, ha-shoteret hazot could mean this policewoman, or that policewoman. Likewise, ha-adam hazeh could mean this person or that person, and ha-morim ha-ele could mean these teachers or those teachers. However, a distinction can be made between this and that, these and those. This is actually a third use of the pronouns hu, he, him, and hain. Hu and he are the masculine and feminine forms of that, and him and hain are the masculine and feminine forms of those. So if we wanted to emphasize that policewoman, we could say ha-shoteret ha-he instead of ha-shoteret hazot, using the feminine singular pronoun he to mean that. Ha-shoteret ha-he. In the same way, to emphasize that person, we could say ha-adam ha-hu instead of ha-adam hazeh, using the masculine singular hu. And to emphasize those teachers, we could say ha-morim ha-haim instead of ha-morim ha-ele. If this was a group of all female teachers, we would use the feminine forms of teachers and those. Ha-morot ha-hain. Those teachers. Ha-morot ha-hain. And that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and share. And if you want to learn more Hebrew, please consider subscribing to my channel and checking out some of my other videos. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.